Good afternoon, everybody. Good morning. Welcome again to an interview about the uptake of AI in project management. Today's guest is from France, and it's Jean-Christophe Hamani. And I'll ask JC to introduce himself in 1 second, but just very quickly, I'm Lloyd Skinner. I'm the CEO and founder of Greyfly.ai. Please look us up. JC, please introduce yourself.
Hello, Lloyd. It's a pleasure to be with you today. So I'm Jean-Christophe Hamani. I'm the CEO of Tactics. So Tactics is an advising company in strategy execution and transformation programs. And you know that project management is my passion for more than 30 years now. So I love to discuss about complex topics like this one with my peers and share insights. So I'm teaching project management in business schools like ESCP in France. And I'm also very happy to be connected to the Project Management Institute ecosystem. I was the former president for Paris, then I co-founded PMI France and the Francophone Community. And last, so I'm also a speaker and I'm writing a book that is going to be published early next year. So to help organizations to achieve success with their projects.
Fantastic. Well, yet another person I can't wait to hear their views of around AI and project management. So I'm going to dive straight in, if I may, and wondering, JC, what do you see the use cases for AI in project management?
So project management is very much about how to handle complexity and how to handle uncertainty. And the goal of project management is really to introduce, I would say, determinism in the business. And this is where AI can help us. So AI is very applicable to those projects with a lot of complexity and uncertainty. A lot of issues, unknowns. So, you know, it's like the weather forecast, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of complexity, and a lot of data to process. And that would be the second point. I mean, AI is applicable for a project where there is a big amount of data that you have to process. And also for these projects with very complex operations like deployment, construction, like spreading technology throughout the country. And also these projects where you have a lot of activities that take a lot of time, a lot of people, and that could be source of errors and could be simplified.
Excellent, excellent. Well, I look forward to hearing a little bit more about those areas and around complexity and how AI can be applied to the complex projects. Before we hear a little bit more about that, so assuming that you can do that, what sort of benefits do you imagine that AI could bring in?
So for sure, AI will bring a lot of benefits. So the first thing, you know, like driving a project is like reading in a crystal ball. You have to know the future. And actually, our work is to predict the future. And so predictive analysis is, I would say, the first item I will think of. How does the future look like? And AI could definitely help us. So I mentioned also automation. I mentioned also real-time monitoring. When you have a lot of activities going on, it's important that you get collection of data and also that you know about the different alerts. If you have some activities running late or anything like this. So it's really very much about real-time monitoring. We can also think about data analysis. So how to analyze the data which is collected, what are the major trends? So that will help you to imagine the future, also providing recommendation and even making simulation. Like what about as if scenarios? What about if we do this or that, what is going to happen? we can imagine like assistance to like planning, to resource planning. You have a lot of resources spread between different activities, competing projects, and you can use AI to ensure that your planning has been done the right way. And obviously, risk management is a key benefit that AI could bring to your project. And also, we might imagine, like, just imagine in terms of communication, if you are running a large multi-country projects, different languages, different people, different time zones, you might have a chatbot where all your project contributors, but also stakeholders, project managers, can ask in real-time questions in their native language about the status of the project. And last but not least, we might think about knowledge management, because obviously projects are here to bring value to the different organizations. So you bring value, of course, when you deliver value, but also you deliver knowledge. You learn project after project. And for sure, AI can be a big player in this knowledge management.
I love the idea of the real-time translation. There's definitely some mileage in that from my perspective, as it were. So definitely. Now I was just going to jump back slightly, because initially you were talking about complex projects, and if I may just tension that a second, because definition of complexity, but I guess conversely, all of those benefits that you talked about, you could apply to smaller or perhaps simpler projects as well. Is that the case?
Yes, actually, you have the complexity could come from two things. It could come from the volume, a lot of data, big projects, a lot of data, but you might have a lot of data but simple processes. And you can have complexity with, scopes which are not that wide, but with very difficult things that you have to do. I don't know, if you say, okay, I need to, the project is to persuade a certain number of people to accept this decision, that could be lead as a project. So it's not a big project, but it's very fine. So it needs a lot of knowledge of human nature, of psychology, being innovative, thinking of how to direct the right decision in the right direction. So this is an example of complex project, but which is not necessarily a big project.
Excellent, excellent. Well, thank you for that, JC, in terms of the scope and the potential benefits. I mean, that was a real long list of benefits and really eye-opening, I believe. Now, do you think that would differ by sector, those benefits?
So actually, I think the first application of AI will obviously be big projects. Projects with budgets and with important stakes in terms of business, projects that you cannot miss, I would say. So of course we mentioned complexity and uncertainty. It's like a NASA. If you take a project from the NASA, would you imagine a project from the NASA without the right tools, without the right methodologies, without the right risk management? So it's very much about AI. I think in very shortly, all complex projects will imply that AI is used. So we could imagine, a lot of, in IT, software engineering, construction, energy, health, technology, production, all these projects will use AI. And I can give the example of typically we are seeing sustainability projects being more and more important, of course, because of climate change. And these sustainability projects are typically projects where with a lot of complexity, a lot of data, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of change, it's really a VUCA world. And this is typically projects where you would benefit from AI application.
So you know, reeling back, although it's all projects, what we're saying is that in the short term, those more complex or those larger projects are the ones that are more likely to where AI uptake is in the short term until it becomes, you know, the norm everywhere. And you know, that list of benefits, you know, just to remind listeners, were predicting the future as well as automating and monitoring and what if scenarios. And I love the idea of the sort of crystal ball and the weather forecast. And I mean, this is really sounds exciting, and surely everybody needs to do this. But you know, there must be, if it was easy, surely everybody would be doing it now. So what sort of challenges do you think there would be?
So actually, there are quite a lot of challenges in AI. So like any new technology, first, it's very exciting because of the promise, and it's very exciting because of the value it brings to projects. But I mean, if you think it through, like a lot of innovative technology, it has a cost to implement, actually. So it's the cost of the value. So this cost could be purely budget, but it's investment in budget, but also in time and in training. So actually, you to implement AI, you need to have the right tools. You have to need the right people, the right processes, the right skills like data scientists. You have to put this in place. Also, you have to be trained to understand how AI works, how the decision-making process works. Let me give you a simple example. Like if you are driving your car and you see different routes proposed by your GPS. If you know that the algorithm and the decision-making of the GPS is really time-oriented, and the first route proposed is actually just crap, but it's a terrible route, but it's 2 minutes less than the second route, which is a highway, easy highway route. So actually, when you know how the algorithm works, you say, okay, probably let's see the different routes. And this is why he selected the first route, because of 2 minutes gain. But I don't care having the 2 minutes gain if I have the pain of going through a very narrow road, bumpy, and I prefer to, it's okay, 2 minutes is okay, and I prefer to take the highway. So it's important to know how it works. And also AI, we have to keep in mind that AI is a data engine. No data, no value. So we need first to have data to be able to collect them. Second, these data must be available. And third, the quality of the data. If you have crap data, you will have crap results and crap decisions. So it's a whole chain. So it's something that we should be aware of. And also two last things. First, confidentiality. I mean, GDPR. These data, you might send it to a third party. So you have to be very careful because this data is your knowledge. And last thing is cultural aspect. So probably a lot of, project members will see their work change with the introduction of AI. So we have to deal with this.
Interesting. Well, as a man that often makes the mistake of trying to grab the 2 minutes, I definitely get the context there, because there's always a tractor or something, isn't there? So
Absolutely.
You know, sometimes that first recommendation isn't the right recommendation. So it's a really good good point, as it were. So great potential, great benefits, but some challenges to overcome. What sort of practical actions do you think a business should be undertaking or thinking about undertaking?
So I think it would be like any transformation projects, any change project. So it's going to impact technology, people, and processes. So you have all the three. So like any strategic, because it's strategic transformation process, you have to have some training. So training is important. Also, we mentioned about the data collection. I would strongly recommend that, before implementing AI in any project, the organization runs data-oriented projects for implementing data collection, for, I would say, preparing to have the fuel for AI. So once the organization is used to collect data and have accurate data, then we can move to the next step, which is using this data. Also, another thing is identifying the right projects and having pilots. So it's not wise to implement AI for all projects in the company. So let's target 1 or 2 projects. Let's see how it works. And also, last but not least, in the organization, it's important to develop a culture of openness and innovation. If you feel all people like, against the technology, against innovation, that will not help. So this is why, step by step, selecting the right project leaders, selecting the right project sponsors, selecting the right projects, and moving forward.
Excellent. Well, I definitely concur with your people, process, and system dimensions there. It's something that I definitely talk about often. So great benefit. We know there's some challenges. We know what we need to do to move things forward. So what's stopping people moving forward now then?
Actually, so we mentioned that there is a cost, there is a preparation. So the first blocker could be if results are not there, if it doesn't make a difference, because it has been poorly implemented or not the right AI for the right project. So the first is I would say results. Results need to be there. Also, of course, costs, they should be the ROI, they should be reasonable compared to the value. Also the complexity, because we have to reduce the complexity down to a level where it's accepted by all stakeholders. So I mean complexity for everyone, for contributors of projects, for project managers, but also for the executive level. Also, resistance to change, so it's an important factor. And also, I would say, of course, ethics and confidentiality problems. If, as we said, data is gold. So if we see that there is a leak because we had to, move the data to a SaaS industry and there was a leak and competition took advantage, so that will stop. That will be a stopper for AI. So these items shall be taken very seriously. So, it's like, if I can compare, it's like the wave that we had some years ago with the offshoring and externalization. So sometimes it was a wise decision from a cost perspective, but sometimes it was a terrible decision. And actually there was a lot of value expected, but the result was extremely poor value to everyone. So this is a good example of, it might have a lot of value, but if it's not well prepared, the result is not there.
You're the first person that I've spoken to that's got that parallel with offshoring. I think it's a fantastic example, and I think all of us have had experience in our lives of possibly bad offshoring as well. So really good example there, JC. So okay, so we're drawing our little chat to a close now. If there was one or two takeaways that you think people should really acknowledge from your point of view, what would that be?
So first, I would say that AI is a great opportunity for projects. So, but also, you know, I'm a growth mindset, so I love innovation and any opportunities to have our projects more successful. So AI is a fantastic opportunity as far as it's used properly and prepared in a serious way. And it's like, you know, the drivers, like the example that I have given, a massive adoption of GPS has not threatened drivers. We're still driving cars, but now the difference is that before we could have excuses when we were late, but now with the adoption of technology, we have less excuse when we are late at an appointment, because one would say, but you have the tools for the traffic, for the routes. So that will be the same for projects. I would say we will have, as professionals, less excuse to be late or really to not to achieve the success of the project. But this is also, I mean, extremely exciting for us. So introducing AI is a change management. We have to consider all what we have said. And I would say that AI is a sophisticated tool, and AI will contribute to more sophisticated project managers. And I think that will raise the standard of project managers. And one very last thing, AI will help us, but will never prevent, the project managers to express their talents. So in two areas, which I personally love. So first, leadership, and second, strategy.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with all of what you said there in terms of your conclusion. So that just leads me to say, JC, thank you so much for your time and your input today. And I look forward to catching up with you shortly.
Thank you. You're very much welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.